These faces represent the tens of thousands of people that Tabor has helped over the past 50 years. Tabor was established in 1968 by A. Grace Wanger and members of the Mennonite community in Lancaster to combat discrimination and help low-income and minority families find decent, affordable housing and manage their finances. A. Grace Wanger wrote, "In 1960, one of my sisters returned from some 20 years as a missionary in Belgian Congo. With her came a family of 4 children of African mothers and Belgian fathers. They had grown up in her home. She called them her children. My sister had no trouble buying a house in Lancaster. She had blue eyes and pink cheeks. But when 2 of the girls married and wanted their own homes, we learned firsthand about the evil of housing discrimination in Lancaster."
I remember one landlord, I called him up and of course I sounded like a safe white Pennsylvania Dutchman. I told him I was looking for an apartment for my niece and her husband. And then I said, "Now, they happen to be Negro. Does that make a difference?" And suddenly he became deaf. He couldn't hear what I was saying. And I started to shout, and he still couldn't hear. So finally I yelled, "They're black," which wasn't quite true because they were very pretty brown. And then he said, "No, can't rent," and hung up. I kept thinking about all of the blacks and Hispanics who needed places to live and had nobody to find them places. So in March 1967, 12 people met in our living room. 2 sisters and I lived there together. And we invited 2 businessmen to be sure we'd get off on a sound foot.
Grace wrote, "Someone suggested that each of us should write on a slip of paper the amount of money he was ready to invest. It totaled $4,650. We decided to incorporate, following the pattern of opportunity housing. Mental housing was registered as profit sharing, but investors agreed not to expect dividends. After a few years of growth, we began to see that a nonprofit organization would be more practical. It would give us greater freedom to ask churches for volunteers to rehabilitate houses, and there would be government funds available for a nonprofit group. So the 7-person executive committee formed a second corporation, which was nonprofit. They were led by the scriptural call to demonstrate their concern for others through action and to work to eliminate the forces that divide us as a community. From 1968 to 1975, Tabor bought, renovated, and sold 27 houses with mostly volunteer labor. Daniel S. Sensenig, the first director of Tabor, believed the organization stressed the idea of how buying a home was a wise investment. Offices were established at 320 South Duke Street in Lancaster City, with Tabor providing financial education to individuals and families, teaching money management skills, assisting them in the transition from renting to homeowning, and helping people find ways to avoid foreclosure. Tabor was also approved as a housing and urban development counseling agency. Nevin L. Horst served as executive director and then president of Tabor from 1977 until 1995. Nevin said, "We do this work in obedience to the biblical prophet Isaiah, who wrote, 'Loose the fetters of injustice, share your food with the hungry, and provide the homeless with shelter.'" Under Nevin's leadership, Tabor's work was defined specifically to help families select houses for purchase at prices and terms appropriate to the client's resources, obtain verification of income, collect credit reports, help prepare family budgets, assist in obtaining mortgage financing through commercial sources, provide maintenance education, and assist families with responsibilities in making timely mortgage payments. During this time, Tabor was approved as a consumer credit counseling service under the National Foundation for Consumer Credit Counseling, purchased a large property at 439 East King Street where they moved its offices and renovated 26 apartments for low-income and disabled people, and launched the Shelter to Independent Living program, counseling people referred from homeless shelters making the transition into renting and for some into buying properties. In 1994, Nevin told the board, "In the past decade, the total number of families that have received some kind of services from our office during the past 10 years is 24,729.
I was a student at Harrisburg Area Community College, and I was in need of a car, and I didn't have a whole lot of finances or family here in Lancaster. So I came to Tabor asking for help. So the program that helped me was the match savings program. It helped me to learn how to save for something that I have a need for. I think the biggest obstacle was having a lot of other bills that I had to maintain and a small child, and having to also save money for a car. So without Tabor, I would not have been able to purchase the car that I needed to get back and forth to school. So budget counseling was another program that I was a part of. Tabor really helped me to learn how to make sure that I was following my budget.
Nicole came to Tabor for help to buy a car and manage her budget. She was one of the 27,233 people, including at least 1,874 children, that came for financial counseling in just the past 20 years of Tabor's 50-year history. Tabor also helps people pay off their debt through debt management plans. In the last 22 years alone, clients in this program have repaid $49,500,000 to their creditors. Tabor's next president, D. Michael Weaver, served from 1995 to 2006. Early in his tenure, Mike announced a theme, Call for Diversity, which he explained refers to the call for us to get to know someone outside our economic class, social circle, giftings, race, and family status. Tabor had the slogan, Together We Can. During this time, Tabor was accredited by the Council on Accreditation, one of only 2 agencies in Lancaster County to achieve this standard of excellence. Tabor started administering the Family Self-Sufficiency Program for the city and county housing authorities, opened Jubilee House, started providing supportive services at affordable housing complexes, led the collaboration with 6 other agencies to launch the East King Improvement District. TLC, Transitional Living Center, formerly Harb Adult, merged with Tabor. Tabor purchased, refurbished, and moved into the historic Eastern Market Building at 308 East King Street. Beth Shalom House of Peace merged with Tabor. Tabor opened Market View Apartments and started Lancaster City Living.
My situation that brought me to Tabor was that I was homeless and I didn't have anywhere to go with me and my son. Tabor helped me by getting me into TLC and making me not homeless, giving me a roof over my head for me and my son. And I've been working at a job for 2 years that I really love, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without Tabor. I would definitely recommend Tabor to everyone who has been in a situation like myself.
Consuelo was a client at TLC and today lives at Market View, a Tabor permanent supportive housing program. TLC merged with Tabor 13 years ago. It is a program that bridges homelessness to housing by providing 52 rooms of short-term interim housing and supportive services for individuals and families, including veterans at TLC's Veterans Victory House. Since merging with Tabor in 2005, 7,057 individuals, including 1,820 children, ended their homelessness. In the homeless and rental housing counseling programs in the last 20 years, Tabor has provided 21,640 individuals, including at least 6,130 children, services to end their homelessness to keep their housing. Steve Welch, Director of Finance, served as interim president until Tabor's current president, Robert Thomas, started at the end of 2006. Bob said, "We see our work as teaching people the skills and capacities to learn to help themselves and to live more independently. We see ourselves as educators." One of the first accomplishments was launching the Community Homeless Outreach Center in partnership with the Interagency Council for the Homeless, United Way, and Water Street Mission. The Lancaster County Coalition to End Homelessness selected Tabor to establish a centralized intake system for the county, where people experiencing homelessness can be assessed, and later to establish a program to provide housing search and advocacy programs for all the clients of all coalition-funded rapid rehousing programs in Lancaster County. The Ann B. Barshinger Financial Empowerment Center was established adding credit evaluation and financial counseling services to debt management, financial education, and counseling. The Gunterberg Foundation Coolaton family granted Tabor funds for the Eastern Annex 2018 expansion project that will be named for them.
When the economy tanked in 2008, it really hurt me in my business at the time, and I started falling behind in my mortgage payments. Once I was behind in my mortgage payments, I sought out Tabor, who helped me fill out paperwork and got me into a program that helped me out for a brief time with mortgage payments on my house. As a result, I was able to keep my house. And here we are today in 2018, and I've paid my house off. I paid it off last year. So I own my house free and clear, and I really want to thank Tabor for helping me keep my house.
Dave is one of the 9,159 households that in the past 20 years have received mortgage counseling at Tabor. All total, in the past 20 years, Tabor has provided 65,089 individuals, including at least 9,824 children, with housing and financial counseling and services. Today, Tabor has 50 full and part-time staff, 18 programs and services, and serves over 5,000 Lancaster County residents annually. On how Tabor got its name,
It's a mountain where the Israelites won a decisive victory over Canaanite oppressors. And we decided this organization should be winning victory over oppression. And the amazing thing is seeing what became of it, what other people could do with my idea. I'm just amazed. It's just more than I've ever dreamed could happen. In fact, I think it's one of the most significant things I have ever done in my life.